Looks like it's about to rain, which I am not mad at all. So look, y'all, I have been disciplining myself for 30 days. I started everything at the same time. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped drinking alcohol. I started intermittent fasting. I started doing water fast for 24 to 48 hours. And I started taking rap music out of my, violent music, trying to watch less violence, listen to less violence. I started exercising, hitting the punching bag, going for bike rides. I have inflammation in my wrists. I have inflammation in my knees. I have bad feet. So I stick to biking and I stick to punching bags. So either way, I started this journey 30 days ago and I have learned a lot. And so that's what I want to speak to y'all about, is what I've learned during this journey. So one of the biggest things I learned is discipline isn't really that easy for a lot of people. For a lot of people, discipline is very hard. You can see that you'll start to realize when you discipline yourself that how everyone else around you isn't disciplined. The more you discipline yourself, the more you realize how everyone else has a problem. Like I spoke on how my roommate had a heart attack and still smoked cigarettes. Got out the hospital and smoked cigarettes and bought McDonald's and ate pizza and said it like it was just normal, like it was, so unapologetically. People that aren't disciplined are so unapologetic, unapologetically fat, unapologetically lazy, unapologetically uneducated, ignorant. You just start to realize this with people. You start to realize the problem with people. You start to realize why poor people stay poor and why the rich get rich. Because really, people with money are just capitalizing on people without money. Because people without money have the worst habits. So that's one of the main things that I learned with discipline is you start to realize how everyone else around you just really isn't disciplined at all. The second thing I learned was you have to turn it into a lifestyle. That's the second thing I learned. You have to turn your discipline into a lifestyle. So you can't really go on a diet. This has to be your lifestyle. This has to be how you live day to day. Because the hardest thing I learned was if you slip up one time, that one time will set you all the way back. Because if you were addicted to sugar, if you were addicted to alcohol, if you were addicted to weed, if you're addicted to, who knows, porn, if you're addicted to salt, if you're addicted to sugar, any of these things, you put your foot in a pond one time, something's gonna pull your ass in. And I learned this the hard way. So for example, I was monitoring my blood pressure at home. I have a blood pressure monitor. I was able to get myself from 2 blood pressure pills. I was on amlodipine, a higher dosage, and I was on hydrochlorothiazide, I think 12.5 milligrams dosage every day. That's what I had to take. And I think it was 25 milligrams of amlodipine, if I'm not mistaken. Bugs out here. So I ended up bringing my blood pressure down to where I could only needed to take 1 pill. And so the high dose of amlodipine, which is I think like 25 milligrams or so, I was able to just take that out and stop taking amlodipine and keep my blood pressure at the lowest it's ever been just by taking hydrochlorothiazide. Well, y'all, on my diet, it was pretty much up and down for these 30 days. I did a lot of fasting. These bugs out here are crazy. I did a lot of fasting. Water fast, 24 hours, up to 48 hours. I really never actually hit 48 hours. I think the most I hit was 42, 44, something like that. But 24 hours, 244 hours. And then I also was doing intermittent fasting. So I would eat between these windows. I wake up, skip breakfast, wouldn't eat until sometimes 3, sometimes 6 p.m. And then I would eat between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. And then as far as my diet, it was always keto diet. I'm eating a lot of greens, a lot of salads. On my salads, I stopped putting ranch and all these things because you put ranch on your salad and it's more fattening than the salad itself. So I'm okay with oil and vinegar now. I'll use extra virgin olive oil, and I'll use apple cider vinegar, organic apple cider vinegar as my dressing, because I started to just, taste really isn't. That's another lifestyle change for me that I've gotten used to. I can eat a salad without having something sweet on there. Well, this is what helped get my blood pressure down. I cut out sugar, and I learned that we only need a teaspoon of salt a day. So I cut out salt, and managed how much salt I ate. And so that's what cut my blood pressure down. That's what lowered my blood pressure, to be able to only go down to one pill. Well, what happened was, for a few days, I don't know if I was stressing, I was just down, lonely, which I'll get into next. So for 4 days, I started stress eating pretty much. I just said, F it, man. I was eating cookies. I was eating brownies. I was eating cakes, baking little cakes at home. And I was just smashing, y'all. Just eating whatever I wanted to. It didn't even matter anymore. Potato chips, things I had cut out. And so I did these things, and my blood pressure shot right back up. 4 days of eating like that after really doing decent for about 30 days, because this was just recently. This was actually like 2 days ago. Today is Sunday, so yesterday is when I actually stopped. Friday night I started a 24-hour water fast, and that ended last night. So I got home from work last night, and I ate me a salad with salmon on it, and some ceviche. But I realized, just from those 4 days of eating cakes and potato chips and all these unhealthy things, my blood pressure shot up like crazy. So you really do have to maintain your discipline. This is something that you have to really turn into a lifestyle. Because if you're looking at it as a diet, or you're looking at it as If you're looking at it as a diet, or you're looking at it as anything like that, if you're looking at it as something that's like a restriction or anything you don't want to look at it as something temporary, okay? So I learned that when you are disciplining yourself, it has to become a lifestyle. It has to be something that you do every day. Just like I cut out pork, just like I cut out cigarettes, just like I cut out weed and alcohol. You can't dip your foot back in the pond. Because if you have an addictive personality, or you're addicted to any of these things, you're going to go right back down that hole, man. And I learned that the hard way a few days ago. So now I'm back trying to, which I've succeeded. I did a 24-hour water fast. This is day 2 of me cutting out the sugar and everything again. So this is what I did. My roommate is very unhealthy. She just is the worst eater ever. So what I had her do, I talked her into taking everything that was unhealthy out the cabinets, putting it in a box, and donating it to somebody. We still have ice cream sandwiches in the freezer, which, glad I said that. It's going in the trash. Klondike bars, trash. So that's one of the things. The second thing I learned was stick to it. Don't give up. Make it a lifestyle, because the minute you slip up, man, you're just going to go right back down that hole. And I had to catch myself. Luckily, I caught myself and did the 24-hour water fast, and it helped a little bit. The cravings are still there. So if you stop eating sugar, man, just stop eating sugar, okay? I know some people are like, it's okay to have a cake every once in a while. Nah, not if you're still new to it, and I just wouldn't recommend it. If you're going to cut out sugar, just cut out sugar. My blood pressure shot up all the way. I mean, my shit went from like 115/70, which is the lowest my blood pressure has ever been. Sometimes it's been like 110/65. My blood pressure has never been this low. It went from that to, I think it ended up shooting up to like 150/95 or 150/100. It shot up. And then after I did my 24-hour water fast and started checking my blood pressure and stuff again, and I ate the healthy salad last night, which I still haven't ate yet, and I've been monitoring my blood pressure, and it has went back down. So sugar really does raise your blood pressure. And of course, we all know salty items, potato chips, starchy items, and all these things raise your blood pressure. But sugar definitely raises your blood pressure. All right, so that's number 2, man. Stick to it. The third thing I learned, you are going to be lonely. I say that because when you're disciplined, most people around you aren't disciplined. If you tell somebody you're on a diet, their reaction is just so negative. What? Like I started my new job and I told the dude, I was like, yeah, I'm on a diet right now. I told the cook. He was like, oh man, fuck that shit, man. You can eat some of this shit. I'm like, damn, bro. I talked to him today. I talked to him yesterday. He had a whole different state of mind though. He was like, he started acting like he's on a diet now. And I swear, it's a lot of this happens to a lot of people around me when I'm dieting or disciplining myself. It kind of rubs off on them because you wasn't just talking like this the other day. I noticed that with my coworkers at my last job that I quit. They were the same way. The owner, who I can't stand, he started biking to work because he saw that I lost some weight and was able to get into an outfit that I couldn't fit for months. He started biking to work. Other people started just becoming more health conscious around me at my job. My roommate's becoming more health conscious. She's trying her best. She's a very undisciplined person, but she's getting better. She has so many habits though. But either way, you're gonna become lonely because if you don't smoke and drink, who do you hang out with when everybody around you is smoking and drinking? If you don't smoke or drink and you're on a diet, that's even less people to hang out with because food is what brings people together. A lot of times people be like, hey, let's go get something to eat. Hey, let's go to a bar. Hey, come over, let's smoke one or something like that. You end up realizing that everybody around you is how undisciplined they are, which goes back to the first thing I said. And then now you don't have really a lot of people to hang out with because most of them are going to try to get you to smoke weed. They're going to try to get you to drink. They're going to try to get you to eat a bad diet because they don't think there's anything wrong with it. And they're ignorant. So that's the third thing I learned was you end up alone real fast. Let's go into the studio room. There's too many bugs out here. So yes, you become lonely. I don't really have a lot of people to hang out with now. I don't have anybody to hang out with now. So that's something that you have to get used to. You have to get used to the fact that you're going to be alone a little bit more, and for a lot of people, that's hard. And I think you should only stay like that until you are confident or you're strong in yourself to know that you can hang out with people that smoke weed and you're not going to give into it. You can hang out with people that drink alcohol and you're not going to give into it. You can hang out with people that eat bad and you're not going to give into it. And it's still sad that the only way that people really come together is through weed, alcohol, and food. I think it should be I think that's a little pathetic. Let's go out and go. People can't do any type of activity without having something unhealthy involved. So you will end up seeing that. And you will have some lonely times and some lonely days. And a lot of times when this isn't the first time I disciplined myself, but I've learned that when you discipline, a lot of times where I broke my discipline, it was because, like I said, I like women. I was addicted to sex. I don't know if I said that in this video, but I've been addicted to sex, still am, to a certain degree. And one of the times when I stopped smoking weed, I started smoking weed again just to get sex out of this girl. I smoked some weed with her, chill with her, just so I could get sex from her. So you're gonna have to kind of like isolate yourself from everyone else that's not disciplined, just to try to strengthen your own mind. So the fourth thing I learned was you start to think more. Your mind becomes a little bit more open to other ideas. This is what I've learned because I stopped listening to rap music. Or when I go on a bike ride, I like to have my headphones in. I'm gonna listen to something. So I started listening to people talking about money, how to think about money, how to make money, how to invest, how to, So now I'm thinking about stocks, which is something I've never actually really, I've heard about it. My father has said things about it before in the past, but it's not something I really actually, focused on at all. And now these are one of the things that I kind of want to get into are stocks, some passive income. So your mind becomes open to more things because the weed, the alcohol, the eating all the time, all these things are distracting you, um, and they're taking up time. You snacking throughout the day, which is probably gonna make you lazy, make you lay around a lot. I noticed in those 4 days that I was eating, I was sleeping way more. Those 4 days I was eating all the cake and all this stuff, ice cream, all the stuff I was eating, I slept more. So when you are sober and you're disciplining yourself, you do have more time in the day, and then you have to try to find things to fill up that time in the day. So instead of listening to rap music, I'll watch a video on stocks on the stock market, or I'll watch a instead of watching a movie on violence or something, I'll watch a documentary on a corporation to get more involved or more knowledge about the corporate world and how they operate. Um, I start thinking about more investments. I've always been an investing type person, but when investing, I always had my habits, weed, alcohol, and all these things that would get in the way. So whatever I invested and made money off of, I would just throw it right into the weed and alcohol and other things that I was spending money on. So now I even look at my music a lot different. Like, okay, my music can just be a passive income. When I start making beats and putting them online, that's a passive income. When I start when I release a mixtape, I can go promote this mixtape, however, and I can start selling it in the streets, or I can pay other people to sell it, and tell them, hey, here's 10 CDs, sell these, you'll get this much. Or I can go put it in some mom and pop stores and say, hey, when you sell these, um, you keep this and I'll take that. Now I can do this and start building relationships with people. It's passive income. Now I want to start saving up and getting into real estate. Now I'm really thinking about my credit, getting my credit together. That maybe I can go get a business loan, or to invest in something. If I can't invest it in any other way to get the money, maybe get a loan. But either way, my credit is very important. These are things they didn't teach us growing up about finances and stuff. So now my mind is focused on these things. So I feel like when you discipline yourself, especially when you're leaving weed and alcohol alone, your brain just starts to think a lot more, man. Your brain becomes a lot sharper. They say when you are intermittent fasting and water fasting and the keto diet does sharpen your brain. Certain foods sharpen your brain. A lot of these healthy foods that you eat, they sharpen your brain. They're good for brain health. Um, so that's another thing I learned. My brain just works a lot better, and I start to think about a lot more different things. So these 30 days of discipline, they have been challenging. I have had my ups and downs. Like I said, I relapsed on the food, on the diet, and I never relapsed on weed and alcohol though it was hard. There were times where I was getting real lonely, and I wanted to just have a beer. The weed, I just know I cannot dive into the weed because I feel like I can have a beer and leave it alone. Beer was never really, I only drunk beer in a larger amount to kind of boost the weed feeling, because I never felt like I was high enough off weed. So that's what the beer and alcohol was for, was to enhance the high. But the reason I don't really want to go back to beer is because carbs. I'm trying to get into shape, and beer does put fat on your stomach. And my goal is to get, I went from 2 blood pressure pills to one hydrochlorothiazide. Well, my goal is to be on 0 blood pressure pills. My goal is to fix my blood pressure. And drinking beer just isn't going to do that. So I have to stay strong because there are days where I do want to drink. Though the doctor recommends a beer a day, half the things the doctors recommend and the things that they recommend in America just don't sit right with me. They recommend 3 meals a day, and anyone who's done their research know that 3 meals a day is just not right. You're better off skipping breakfast, unless you're diabetic or something. But you're better off skipping breakfast and not eating breakfast and eating between windows. Intermittent fasting. There's so many health benefits to it. And I've also learned so much about just what foods are healthy for you, man. Like all the things you're supposed to cut out. I would have never known to cut out rice. I would have never known to cut out starchy vegetables like potatoes. I would have never known all the benefits of things like green leafy vegetables, even though they've always told you it was good. Kale and romaine lettuce and spinach. These things this is in my diet now. Normally, like this is what I eat. I love salads. I love vegetables now. Eating fruit is something you should eat in moderation because even natural sugar can work against you. And, people say that they're vegan, and they say that they're this and that, and they never lose weight. I was watching a video about this girl who was arguing down the host. This is the Fresh and Fit podcast, and I might do a reaction video to it. And she was arguing down the host because she said her sister is bigger than everybody in the room, but she's probably healthier than everybody in the room. That's what she said. And the dude was like, "Nah, that's impossible. There's no way that your sister is overweight and she's healthier than everybody in the room. It just doesn't work like that. If she's overweight, that means she's eating a calorie surplus, which by definition is not healthy. So she needs to lose that weight. And this girl just tried to argue it down and argue it down. But I've just learned so much about food, and just I'm way more health conscious now. I know what and what not to eat for the most part, and even eating organic food and leaving all this GMO alone with putting all these chemicals in your body. I just definitely picked up a lot of knowledge about food. Now, a lot of knowledge, period. What I do need to get back into is reading. I need to get back into sharpening my brain. I still am a little, unhappy. I'm so used to living alone. I think that's what will make everything a lot easier for me and take off a lot of stress off of me, is if I lived alone. But sometimes you just got to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I signed a lease that I probably wouldn't be smart for me to break, and this lease doesn't end until next year, so I'm stuck like Chuck. And that's probably one of my biggest stresses, is because I don't have my own space. And when you're disciplining yourself like this, it's just so easier to have your own space, because you can't really blame somebody else if their bad habits influence you. That's you not being strong. But it's still a challenge, and it would just be a lot easier for me to be by myself. And I know a lot of people was like, "Hey man, you need to leave where you at and blah 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 and be by myself." But easier said than done. I got a lot of things I need to work on. This situation does benefit me, so I just have to kind of find the peace in this situation, as I can. So this is all, y'all. This is all I wanted to say, man. 30 days of discipline are going well. I haven't smoked any weed. I haven't drank any alcohol. I broke my diet a few times within these 30 days. I still lost weight. I'm still down to, I went from like 240 to I'm probably at 225 now, 220. I got to weigh myself again. Between 220 and 225, I know I gained some weight within those 4 days of eating bad, but I'm still, under 230. So I still lost some weight within these 30 days. I probably lost 15 pounds, up to 15 pounds or so. And for the most part, it's going good. I've learned some good lessons. I've learned some valuable lessons. And I'm going to continue learning. I'll continue to give you updates on my journey. My name's Ebenezer, also known as the Scrooge, and I'm out.